Using some of the Nomad gear. Getting a lot of questions now from people that are not sure about how to set their lighting and fridging and not understanding how the loads, etc., work. So what you can do if you've got a tiny home or you've got yourself a little cabin or something you want to power up, like I've got here, this is a 20-foot sea container. It's got TV, fridges, it's even got an aircon down there, but that's running off a 135 amp hour that I've got running on here, and it's also got a 600-watt inverter that I can run some things off. But the thing is, you've got to look at when you're running off grid, especially in a rural property, etc., is that you look at the accessories and the draw that they pull. So instead of looking at 240 accessories, what you want to look at is the 12 volt or 24 volt versions. So things like TVs, like LCD TVs, you can get really good ones now that are 12 volt for $700 or $800. So you're not going to be drawing much power at all. Same with fridges, you can get 1224s that are very good home style fridges, cabin style. But if you're going to run a home backup system as well, a lot of people are buying these little tubby power units that are like 30 or 34 amp. They've got inverters and things like that. That's great. If you've got a 1,000-watt inverter with 30 amp hour battery and there's a blackout for a day, how long is it going to run a fridge? Maybe an hour, half an hour. So what you want to do is look at things in your home where you've got routers and you may have a modem and things like that that are already at 12 volt. And they're taking 240 and they're converting down to 12. So you can bypass all that. And that's just a way of running yourself off grid and still having all those electrical things. So you need to look at the accessories and I guess the efficiency of those things. But one thing that is important is obviously lighting. So what I've done is I've converted the my rural property, all the downlights. So what I've done, I've got these here, which are GUI 10. Downlights. You can buy them online. They're $20 or $30, but you can get them for like $5. So what I've done is I take these and I just remove the little thing on here, and what I'll do is I'll install these and then run a good DC heavy duty cabling through the roof, and then you can buy a little bayonet that's got the 2 pins on them, and that's for an MR16 light. So basically you can get these for about $5, good quality. Okay, drill a hole in the roof, put them in there, and then you can just use a normal MR16 globe, which is about $3 or $4 each. I've got them running up here, and they probably lasted 7 or 8 years so far. So you can install these. You might have 300 of them in your home, but they're really good quality and they're halogen type. So that's a way of doing them, having downlights, and then you can convert your whole house, and then quite happy run off one of the Nomad products. So if you're running like in the house here, at the house, I'll use the V6. If I wanted to have a backup, you're still going to have to run an inverter. So I've got here a 1,500-watt inverter. So if I do need to run the house 240 fridge or whatever, I can for an extended period of time, because I do have solar panels that are running and charging this. So if you're going to have a backup supply for your home, it's not necessarily saying, oh, I've got 30 or 40 amp and I've got a big inverter. But the fact is that if you've got a 240-volt accessory, it's going to draw heaps of amp. So that 30 or 40 amp that you've got may last you 1 or 2 hours. So a fridge, typically, I know that we have a lot of outages up at the farm, and they might be out for 8 hours, but at the end of the day, I don't even really worry about the fridge because it's still cold in the evening anyway. Power comes back on, don't worry about it. And that's the only thing really running up at the farm, even though we've got DC fridges running in place as well. But if you're going to run as a backup system, like a proper UPS, which is an uninterrupted power supply, you really need to run an inverter and be able to have that at least a couple of points like this, which you can run some of your critical type of accessories. But when we talk about critical things like your laptop chargers and things like that, they don't use much amp at all. So if you get yourself one of these here with say 1,500 watt with a dual, then you can quite happily sit that in the house and use it as your backup if you need to. And a lot of times they just sit there not being used at all. So just remember about the power that you have available, and it's all about what you put back in. It's not about how big your battery is, because the problem is that people are looking at things back to front, because they say, can I get a 400 amp hour battery, a 500 amp hour, or a 1,000 amp hour battery, and keep buying more power hungry accessories in the house. So bigger TV, bigger washing machine, bigger everything, even things like vacuum cleaners. You know, they started off at 600 watt, now they're like 3,000 watt. Microwaves were a 300 watt microwave, now they're like 2,500 watt. So all you're doing is just increasing the amount of power that you're drawing, because you want to microwave your coffee 2 seconds quicker, and that's going to eat up power. So if you keep doing that, you're going to have to keep getting bigger batteries. So we've got everything back to front, and we need to start looking at, well, let's look at efficiencies of accessories and start to draw less instead of looking at trying to get as many watt as we can out of an accessory. Try to diminish that and get it down to what you really need, because I personally use a 600-700 watt microwave, and it works perfectly fine up at the farm, works off an inverter, no problem at all. It takes probably 2 minutes longer than it takes when I'm in the city house with 1200 watt microwave, but at the end of the day it takes 2 more minutes. So have another beer or something while you're waiting for your microwave food to be cooked. So that's a little bit about when you're off gridding. So it's really important to look at accessories and the amount of draw that they take. If you want to do your lighting, like I said, this is an efficient way of doing it, and it looks really neat and tidy. You can do, even in small tiny homes, you can do your sea containers with these, run the cable through them. There's a little bayonet you can get. They're about $2 each, and they've got little pins in them. Plug them in, and away you go. And it looks, absolutely no one would even tell it's 12 volt. So, and it uses very, very little power to run these. Even 200 or 300 of them doesn't use too much amp. So we'll talk more about off-gridding in rural properties and things like that over the next couple of weeks. If you do have questions on what you're trying to run in a small or tiny home, or if you've got a cabin and you want to run something, even like a shower or whatever, send us an email at contact@nomadpdu.com.au. Ask your questions, and we'll give you some advice as best we can. So again, thanks for joining us.